You might not have given it much thought, but everything that happens to you, your mood, life motivation, physical condition, level of happiness, and even your social circle is directly connected to one single resource: your energy. This is not a trendy word or an empty image. It is an invisible but powerful substance upon which the quality of your life depends. If it leaks away, you feel it literally in your body. Fatigue is not weakness. It is not a reason to be ashamed of yourself. It is a request from your soul to reconsider with whom and how you interact. It is an internal alarm that says, you are giving too much. It is time to remember yourself. If you do not begin to act, this exhaustion will become your norm. You will learn to live on the wreckage of your energy. You will stop feeling joy, inspiration, lightness. But you can stop this process. You can learn to see where exactly the leak is happening, who is forcing you to be convenient, who is appealing to your sense of duty, forcing you to sacrifice yourself. Most importantly, you can stop giving your energy simply because it is customary or because you have to. Because in reality, you do not have to. You owe nothing to anyone if it is destroying you. You can read self-development books, play sports, eat right, meditate, and build morning rituals. But if there are people near you who are exhausting you, all this will work like fighting windmills. Because no practice can compensate for the daily loss of your energy if you continue to allow those around you to use you as an emotional outlet. Carl Jung believed that our energy directly depends on with whom we interact. We are like mirrors, reflecting, amplifying, accepting, or repelling what is nearby. If there is a person near you who lives in awareness, with respect for themselves and for others, you feel how your inner flame flares up. You feel easy, calm, joyful. But if there is someone nearby who constantly complains, dramatizes, controls, criticizes, or clings to you, you feel how it becomes dim and heavy inside. Energy is a subtle matter. It does not like pretense. Your body feels everything much earlier than your mind has time to explain it. Remember how often after conversations with certain people, you feel fatigue, anxiety, or simply the desire to hide from the world. This is not a coincidence. This is the result of destructive interaction at an energetic level. You gave something away, but received nothing in return. Jung said that energy does not go into a void. It is redistributed. If you give it to those who are not ready to accept it with respect, you create a leak that becomes deeper each time. Your environment is not just the background of your life. It is a vessel into which you either pour or lose every day. Until you begin to consciously choose with whom to be near, you will pay with your energy for other people's dramas, fears, and unawareness. The most important thing is to understand that you have the right to choose who enters your field. You have the right to distance yourself from those who cause you anxiety. You have the right to protect your energy as you protect your health, your home, or your child. This is not selfishness, it is maturity. It is love for yourself. Your energetic balance is the result not only of what you do, but also of with whom you do it. If you want to save your strength, begin to feel the savor of life and inspiration. Start with the main thing. Look at your environment. Does it help you grow or does it pull you down? The answer to this question can change a lot. When someone steals your money, you notice it right away. Chronic fatigue, apathy, irritability, anxiety, emptiness inside, loss of interest in life. Carl Jung said, "What you do not realize inside yourself becomes your destiny. If you do not realize where your energy is going, you will again and again become a victim of those who unconsciously or intentionally feed on your life force. But when someone steals your energy, you begin to suspect it too late. When you already feel exhaustion, anxiety, emptiness, people who take your strength do not always do it intentionally. Sometimes they act unconsciously because they do not know how to live from their own source. But the result is the same. You become an accumulator for them, which they connect to themselves in order to somehow continue to exist." Carl Jung emphasized that the most dangerous vampirism is not the one that is loud and obvious, but the one that is subtle, almost invisible, disguised as care, need, friendship, love. These people do not come with a poster that says, "I came to take your energy." They come with complaints, with constant whining, with endless stories about how bad they are. They begin the conversation with, "I need you," but it all ends with you feeling burned out from within. Another mechanism is the feeling of guilt. They skillfully tune you into the fact that if you refuse, if you do not help, if you do not support, you will become a bad person. They do not ask directly, they hint. They pretend to suffer, and now you are in a trap. You stay, listen, advise, save, comfort. But each such episode costs you a piece of your energy, and in a return, silence or a new complaint, and so on in a circle. There are other, even more destructive ways. Constant criticism, sarcasm, devaluation. They convince you that you are not good enough, that you are worthless, that your ideas are nothing, that your dreams are ridiculous. You begin to doubt yourself, lower your standards, lose faith. Your energy goes into fighting imposed doubts, and in the meantime, they feel stronger. Carl Jung argued that every person who suppresses you does this out of their own fear. It is hard for them to be themselves, so they destroy others in order not to feel their internal pain. They criticize because they themselves live in self-condemnation. They accuse because they themselves are full of guilt. They control because they cannot trust the world. Those who create a constant drama around themselves are especially dangerous. These people live in eternal chaos. Quarrels, conflicts, someone else's secrets, other people's grievances. They need you to get involved, for you to take sides, for you to be there again and again. They cannot stop because without this drama, they feel empty. While you are drawn in, you are their source, their fuel. But here is what you need to understand. Your energy is not public property. It is not a free resource. It is what forms your personality, your path, your destiny. If you give it to those who live at someone else's expense, you lose not just strength, you lose yourself. That is why awareness of these mechanisms is the first step to freedom. When you see who and how is taking your energy, you can no longer pretend that you do not notice. This means you can begin to protect yourself, not from people, but from the scenarios that destroy you. They do not ask you directly, they do not shout or threaten. They do it quietly, softly, habitually, so you do not even understand what is happening until it is too late. It will seem to you that the world has become heavier, that life has lost its savor, that the people around you have changed. But the truth is, it is you who has changed, because your energy has ceased to belong to you. Until you begin to understand that this very resource, your energy, determines everything else, you will continue to waste your strength on those who bring you nothing but exhaustion. Your thoughts are confused, your mood is spoiled, your strength is gone, and you are still next to them, smiling, listening, helping, because it looks not like an attack, but like care, complaint, closeness. But it is a capture. It is a slow invasion of your inner space where your self ceases to be yours. Carl Jung warned, until you realize how others interact with your psyche, you are under their influence. Here are the most common. These people are not looking for solutions. They do not need advice. They need a listener into whom they can pour all their suffering. They do not fill themselves up. They drain. And by doing this, they deplete you. The second way is manipulation through guilt. These people masterfully play on your feelings. You would leave me at such a moment, and you already feel like a traitor if you simply want to be alone. I cannot cope without you, and you postpone your affairs in order to save them again. They do not ask, they force you to feel obligated, and a feeling of guilt is one of the most powerful ways to take away energy. The third way is devaluation and criticism. This is a subtle aggression, often disguised as care. Do you really think you can handle it? They say. Well, I would not do that in your place, or they simply roll their eyes silently after each such interaction. It is as if a virus has been planted in you, undermining your confidence. You begin to doubt yourself, retreat from your goals, feel that you do not have the right to be yourself. The fourth way is control. Some people cannot live if you are not under their influence. They impose their opinion on you, force you to act in their way, criticize your decisions, get angry if you do not do it that way. Their goal is not communication, but submission. Each time you agree for the sake of peace or avoiding conflict, you lose part of your strength. The fifth way is dramatization and emotional chaos. This is a special category of people living in constant drama, conflict, panic. Their life is a series of disasters, and you are always drawn in to save, help, support, comfort, explain. They create a whirlpool around themselves. If you are near, you are inside it, and all your energy goes not into your life, but into fighting their chaos. Jung said that everything unconscious strives for power. If a person has not learned to manage their psyche, they will manage the psyche of others unconsciously. People who take away your energy most often do not realize what they are doing, but this does not make their behavior any less destructive. It is important to understand that it is not your obligation to be a source of life for someone. You are not an accumulator. You are not an endless reservoir of support. If you feel that after communicating with someone, you are tired, irritated, lost, this means that the energetic balance has been disturbed, and this balance will not recover on its own. True maturity begins when you stop justifying those who destroy you, when you stop closing your eyes to what exhausts you, when you acknowledge, my energy is my responsibility, and I no longer give it to those who do not appreciate it. This is the beginning of true freedom. It may be difficult to admit, but in every act of energetic exhaustion, there is your participation, not in the sense of guilt, but in the sense of unconscious consent. People can only take your energy when there is something inside you that allows it to happen. This happens not because you are too kind or too sensitive, but because at some point you stop protecting your energy. You began to give it away completely, hoping to earn love, recognition, gratitude, but in return, you received only burnout. Now, the main thing is, if you watch this video to the end, you will not only understand who and how steals your strength, you will learn to see it in advance. Until you see this internal reason, you will change faces, situations, relationships, but the scenario will repeat again and again. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This means you can blame others for your fatigue, for the fact that you are being used, for the fact that you constantly have to. But the real reason lies deeper. It is in you. It lies in those beliefs that were formed in childhood, in those scenarios that you do not notice, in that internal shadow that you are afraid to admit. Perhaps in your family, they only loved the good, those who helped, sacrificed themselves, gave everything away. Perhaps you realize early on that in order to be needed, you need to be convenient, smile when it is hard, agree when you do not want to, support others when you yourself feel bad. This became your survival strategy. You learned to give in order to earn, and now as an adult, you continue to do the same. Only now the price is your energy, your personality, your inner self. When you do not realize these beliefs, you unconsciously attract those who perfectly fit into your internal drama, people who demand, people who need, people who know how to take but do not know how to give. You again fall into the trap of being needed through sacrifice, of being good through self-denial, of being loved through pain. But here is what is important to understand. This is not your destiny. It is your program, and any program can be rewritten. The first thing that is needed for this is awareness, not condemnation of yourself, not accusation of others, but an honest look inside. Ask yourself questions. Why do I allow others to use my energy? What do I feel when I refuse? What will happen if I set a boundary? What am I really afraid of? Sometimes this is the fear of being rejected, sometimes of staying alone, sometimes of seeming bad, selfish, cruel. But the truth is that you are not obligated to be good for everyone. You are not obligated to save others if it is destroying you. You are not obligated to endure if you feel pain. You have the right to protect your energy. Jung believed that true growth begins from the moment when a person realizes that they are not a victim of circumstances, but their co-author. This gives strength, because if you allowed it, you can also change it. As soon as you acknowledge that your energy is your responsibility, you begin to regain control of your life, not quickly, not magically, but honestly, deeply, and truly. It is then that freedom comes, not from others, but from your former self, the one who allowed themselves to be used, because they did not know that they deserved more. Energy does not go away just like that. It does not disappear without a reason. It leaks away to where you unconsciously allow yourself to be used. More often than not, the reason is not in specific people, but in psychological roots that go deep into your past. It is there, where your sense of value was formed, where you were taught that to love means to sacrifice, that to be good means to forget about yourself. Carl Jung emphasized that inside each person lives an inner child whose traumas continue to control adult life. You may be mature, successful, reasonable, but if in childhood you learn that love needs to be earned, you will continue to earn it all your life through help, through denial of yourself, through endless giving to those who are not going to return anything. Think, perhaps when you were little, your opinion did not matter. You did not have the right to say no. You felt that in order for mom not to get angry, you need to be convenient. In order for dad not to reject you, you need to please. These were the rules of survival, and they were recorded in your psyche as truth. Today, you are already an adult, but inside you still lives that little frightened person who is afraid to lose love if they suddenly set a boundary. You will receive tools that will help you save your energy, restore your inner resource, build boundaries, and forever leave the circle of those who turn you into a battery for their drama. This video can change your life because true inner freedom begins with this understanding. This is why you cannot refuse when someone asks, even if you do not want to. This is why you agree to listen to endless complaints, even if everything inside you contracts. This is why you endure humiliation, criticism, control, because somewhere deep inside sits the conviction, if I say no, they will not love me, I will stay alone. But the truth is that you are no longer a child. You can choose. You have the right. These old psychological beliefs hold you like chains. They create patterns of behavior that make you vulnerable to energetic exhaustion. You yourself unconsciously become a magnet for those who want to take, but are not ready to give. Jung said that until a person is aware of their shadow, it will control their life. These old scenarios are part of your shadow, that part that you hide, the fear of being bad, not ideal, selfish. It is this part that includes the mechanism of self-sacrifice every time, pushes you towards energetically unequal relationships, makes you convenient instead of alive. Psychological reasons for energetic leaks are not weakness. They are a consequence of pain that you once could not live through. Now, by realizing this, you can break the vicious circle. You can admit, yes, I am used to giving because that is how I was taught, but now I choose differently. This is where growing up begins. This is where the restoration of your strength begins. Until you deal with the root, you will only treat the leaves. When you look inside and see where it all started, you will have a chance to break out of this scenario forever. You are not obligated to live like yesterday. You are not obligated to suffer in order to be loved, and you certainly are not obligated to lose yourself for the sake of someone else's comfort. You can read hundreds of books on self-development. You can know how to properly build boundaries, how to recognize toxicity, how to protect your energy. Until you start to observe yourself in real time, all of this will remain theory. The main strength is not in knowledge, but in living attention to yourself, in the moment, inside the interaction, inside the fatigue, inside every micro reaction that says something is wrong now. Carl Jung taught that the path to healing begins with awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. The first step to returning your energy is to start seeing, start noticing, start hearing yourself. This does not require effort. It requires silence inside, readiness to listen to the body, listen to the heart, ask questions and not rush with answers. Start with the simple. After communicating with a person, ask yourself, how do I feel? Not what do I think, but what do I feel? Is there fatigue? Is there anxiety? Is there irritation, emptiness, heaviness in the chest? Or, on the contrary, lightness, inspiration, expansion? Sometimes one honest answer is enough to see that there is a person near you who takes but does not give, who empties but does not fill, who uses you not necessarily with malice, but out of habit. If you do not learn to notice this, you will continue to play the role of savior, comforter, listener, losing yourself deeper and deeper. Awareness is not a spiritual abstraction. It is a practical tool for survival. Jung emphasized, if you often feel tired, even after sleep, if it is hard for you to get up in the mornings and you do not understand where all your motivation goes, if you have begun to be irritated by people with whom you used to communicate easily, this is not just a whim. It is not burnout and not peculiarities of character. This is a clear signal that someone is systematically taking your energy, and you yourself, more often than not, unconsciously, are allowing this to happen. Learn to catch the moment when your no breaks off your tongue, but you still say yes. Track how your shoulders clench when someone again loads you with their problems. Notice how irritation rises inside when you are interrupted or devalued. These are all clues. This is your internal navigator, which for years has been trying to talk to you, but you did not listen. Now listen, because this is your path to freedom. The more attentive you are to yourself, the faster you will understand that your energy is not something that can be lost in silence. It is something that requires sacred respect. Only you can give yourself this respect, starting with one simple action. Observe yourself honestly and without fear. In healthy relationships, energy flows like a river back and forth. You give and you are given. You listen and you are heard. You support and you are supported, even if not in words, even if not in the same volume, but with respect. This is what true energetic partnership is. It is not arithmetic, where everything should be equal. It is a vibration where you feel, I am not alone. I am not only giving, I am also important. In toxic relationships, everything is different. There, you are the source. There, you are the battery. There, you are the donor who receives neither warmth nor attention nor support in return. Only expectations, only demands, only pleas or manipulations. The scariest thing is that you get used to this. Get used to being the one who is always there, always saves, always endures. You become a hostage of the role that you yourself have taken, not because you wanted to, but because you did not know that it could be different. Carl Jung said, if you give too much and feel empty, it is not generosity, it is self-betrayal. Energy given one-sidedly does not return. It burns out. Everything that used to delight you stops exciting you. Everything that used to fill you loses its meaning. You stop wanting, stop dreaming, stop feeling, because your energy is not just going away. It is going away in vain. Jung emphasized, everything that does not support your development destroys you. Toxic connections are not just uncomfortable relationships. They are a leak of life. They are a path to burnout, to somatics, to depression. Energy is not a metaphor. It is physiology, psyche, emotions, spirit. When you do not receive a response, when you play the one giving for a long time, you lose the foundation on which you stand. Very often, such connections are held on your internal pain. Perhaps you do not believe that you deserve more. Perhaps you are afraid of loneliness. Perhaps inside sits the old belief, if I am useful, they will not abandon me. The truth is that relationships built on inequality are not closeness. They are exploitation. Realize if you constantly feel fatigue after interacting with someone, it is not peculiarities of temperament. It is an alarming signal. The energetic exchange is broken, and it will not be fixed on its own. Those who are used to taking rarely suddenly start giving. It is you who must take the first step. It is you who must ask yourself, why am I still here? You have the right to relationships where you are not only giving, but also receiving, where your soul does not become fuel for other people's problems, where your voice sounds and does not get lost in the noise of other people's expectations, where you do not have to, but you choose. Energy leaks away unnoticed, not in one day, but drop by drop after every conversation where you listen to other people's complaints, after every meeting where you are subjected to feelings of guilt, after every interaction in which you give, but receive nothing in return. People who do not know how to cope with their own lives look for those who will become a source of resources for them. If you start to respect yourself, your time and your energy, the world will start to change, not immediately, but certainly. The law of energy is simple. If you do not value your strength, others will not value it either. As soon as you start to do this, those who know how to not only take, but also give, will start to appear around you. Many of us are afraid to say no. We are afraid that we will be rejected, that we will be considered rude, callous, soulless. We are used to being convenient, used to listening when we do not want to helping when we ourselves are at the limit, to smiling when everything inside screams, enough! Until you learn to say no, your yes will cost too much. It will cost your energy, your health, your self-worth. Carl Jung wrote that he who is not aware of their boundaries will always be under someone else's influence. This is the reason why you feel empty, not because the world is cruel, but because you have not indicated where you end and others begin. You have left the doors open for those who do not know how to enter with respect. And now it seems to you that protecting yourself is betrayal, although in reality it is healing. Setting a boundary means saying, I exist. I am important. My feelings, desires, and resources matter. This is not a protest against others. It is a return to yourself. It is a mature decision not to be a victim anymore, not to be a tool, not to be a source for those who do not care about you. A boundary is when you choose not to answer a call at 11 p.m. simply because you are tired. It is when you do not go to a meeting after which you always feel broken. It is when you do not explain why you are no longer ready to be a vest for other people's complaints. It is when you allow yourself to be not ideal, but alive. The world may not immediately understand. Someone will be offended. Someone will say that you have changed, but this is normal because you really have changed. You are no longer ready to drain yourself for the sake of someone else's comfort. You no longer want to endure where your soul suffers, and this is not callousness. It is honesty. Jung said that caring for yourself is not weakness. It is the beginning of strength. Only from fullness can you give sincerely. Only then does your energy flow freely, not by coercion, but by love. Only then do those who value you and not your usefulness remain near you. Learn to say no without explanations, without guilt, without fear. At first it will be unusual, perhaps even scary, but then freedom will come. Liberation from the role of savior. Liberation from expectations. Liberation from the need to be good for everyone except yourself. In this new inner silence, you will feel that you have returned strength to yourself. Because boundaries are not walls, they are a filter. Only those who know how to handle your soul carefully pass through it. The rest remain outside, and that is right. Why do you tolerate what destroys you? Why do you repeatedly provide assistance to those who do not appreciate it? Why do you give your energy where there is no response of love and care? The answer is not on the surface. It is inside, in that part of your psyche that Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is everything that you once rejected in yourself. Everything that did not fit into the good child. Everything for which you were not loved or were ashamed. It is your fear of being selfish. It is your suppressed anger, which could not be expressed. They are not always bad. Sometimes they are nice, polite, benevolent. But after interacting with them, emptiness sets in inside you. You feel as if you have given away a part of yourself, and you did not understand when exactly this happened. Carl Jung said that we unconsciously attract into our lives those interactions that correspond to our internal state. It is your thirst for freedom, which had to be suppressed in order to please. All of this you once hid, and now it controls you from within. From the depths, Jung said, meeting one's own shadow is the first step to genuine awakening. Until you see your internal scenarios, you will live by someone else's rules. You will say yes when you want to say no. You will be silent when you want to shout. You will endure because you have to. Your unconscious builds life according to the old pattern. It says, if you are convenient, they will love you. If you do not interfere, they will not abandon you. If you do not set boundaries, they will accept you. You obey because you are afraid of the truth, that perhaps someone will leave, that perhaps someone will not withstand your true face. The truth is beautiful in that then only those who love you truly will remain. The shadow manifests itself in situations where you feel powerless, where you are angry with others but cannot explain why, where you are tired but continue to give. This is all a reflection of those programs that once saved you, but now exhaust you. Until you look at them in the face, you will again and again attract the same people, pass the same lessons, lose yourself to please others. When you realize this is my shadow, this is my pain, this is my old story, you gain freedom, freedom to rewrite the scenario, liberate the suppressed strength, restore the voice that was muted, allow yourself to be not only good, but also alive. It is then that the need for those who feed on you disappears. You no longer give out of fear, you no longer live on autopilot, you choose consciously. Jung asserted that the path to wholeness lies not through light, but through shadow. Only by meeting with what you hid in yourself do you become yourself truly. When you accept your strength, even an inconvenient one, even inconvenient for others, you stop being convenient, but you become free. You no longer agree to one-sided giving. You no longer allow anyone to feed on your soul because you finally meet yourself and you understand, I am not a victim. I am the master of my energy. There is a moment that divides life into before and after. It is not always loud. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes fatigue that becomes unbearable. Sometimes a sudden thought, I can't do this anymore. It is at this moment that energetic awakening occurs. Not external, but internal. When you no longer agree to be a bargaining chip in other people's stories, when you suddenly clearly understand, my energy is my life, and I will no longer give it away without meaning. Before awakening, you live on autopilot. You try to be good, support everyone, help, endure, not noticing that you are almost not breathing, that yourself has become shadowy, that you no longer exist. There is a function, a role, a resource for others. After awakening, you begin to see, feel, realize who is next to you and why. What fills and what empties, what leads you forward and what keeps you in a cage. Carl Jung said, awakening is a painful process. It requires the destruction of the old personality. The truth is that awakening first breaks. It destroys illusions, connections, masks. It shows how many years you gave yourself away because you were afraid of being rejected, how many times you said yes when everything inside screamed no, how many times you hid pain, if only not to lose someone's love. Then comes a new reality, quiet, solid, deep. You no longer seek approval. You are no longer afraid of loneliness. You do not burn out trying to please. You are in yourself. You are with yourself. You start to build life from the inside, not according to templates. In this new life, other people appear, those who do not take but exchange, who do not pull you down but grow next to you, because your energy is no longer available to those who came only to consume. If you grew up with the belief that you need to help everyone, that a good person always gives themselves to others, that love needs to be earned, you automatically become a target for those who do not know how to feed from within. They are drawn to you like to a fire on a winter night. But the problem is that you begin to burn out. You notice that you have more strength. You wake up and want to live. You are interested. You are calm. Your soul seems to return to the body because finally it has a place to be. It is not in dramas, not in other people's problems, not in a constant sense of duty. It is with you. This is energetic awakening. This is the moment when you no longer give yourself away in pieces, but collect yourself whole. When you do not cling to people because you are afraid of emptiness, because you fill the emptiness with yourself, with your light, with your silence, with your depth. Jung wrote that only a person who is aware of themselves can be truly free. Freedom begins right here, when you no longer give your strength in exchange for crumbs of love, when you choose to be whole, not needed, alive, not convenient, real, not profitable. At this moment, a new reality begins, a reality in which your energy is no longer used against you, but works for you. There is a level of strength that cannot be bought, received from the outside, or pretended to have. It is internal maturity. It comes not with age, but with awakening. It is a state when you no longer live to be convenient, when you no longer give yourself away to be noticed, when you no longer exchange your energy for love, acceptance, or safety, because you no longer need it, you are full. Carl Jung said that freedom begins with the awareness of internal value, not from others, not from roles, not from praise, not from results, but from the understanding that I have the right to be myself, I have the right to choose, I have the right to live as my soul feels. This is maturity when your energy no longer flows to where you are not heard, where you are used, where you are absorbed. Energetic maturity is not coldness, it is not detachment, it is clarity. It is internal knowing that does not require proof. It is the ability to smile but say no. It is the ability to empathize without burning out. It is presence in relationships without self-sacrifice. It is generosity without internal debt. When you become mature in your energy, you get out of the game, give and accept me. You no longer seek confirmation through others. You do not try to be useful, needed, right? You simply are, and that is enough. From this state, calmness, true confidence, unperturbed strength is born. You begin to choose to whom to smile and from whom to distance yourself, where to invest and where to pass by. You are no longer afraid that someone will be offended because you know that you are not obligated to be a source to anyone. If you give, it is out of love, not out of fear, out of fullness, not out of need. This is what maturity is, to give without losing yourself. Freedom does not come when all the difficult people disappear. It comes when you no longer give them power over yourself, when no situation can deprive you of energy if you yourself have not given consent to it. Jung wrote, "You do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light. You become it by making the darkness conscious." When you go through the shadow, through the pain, through the leak of energy, you are no longer afraid because you have found the main thing, yourself. Energetic maturity is not the result of a struggle. It is the beginning of a new life, one where you are no longer a victim, not a donor, not a hero of other people's dramas, but a person whole, real, alive. Then your energy begins to work for you, not against you. It becomes not an expense, but a resource, not weakness, but light. The light that you carry in yourself can no longer be extinguished because you no longer give it to random passersby. You direct it where there is reciprocity, respect, love, and growth.